Hello, beautiful. So good to be here with you. Welcome to day 23 of our 30-day Worthiness Attunement journey. I'm Grace Willow, and if you're new to my channel, welcome. Warm welcome. If you are returning and you've been watching the videos since the beginning, the welcome video, welcome back. So grateful to be here with you. I had a little giggle after I created the video yesterday. It was almost kind of like pulling teeth to get clarity on what wanted to come through. And after I created the video, I was like, oh, yeah. Yesterday was another 777 portal. And if you're not familiar with what that means, it's actually beyond the scope of this video to go into that. So you can Google 777 portal, and we actually have another one coming up here in a few days. So the energy is just really intense right now. And on top of that, in the Mayan calendar, yesterday was what's called a day out of time. And had I really been tuned in, I would have just said, you know what? Rather than trying to force this, I will just wait until tomorrow and record the video. So yesterday, it didn't feel like the energy flowed real clearly, real easily. So if you felt a little wobble, or if you felt like there's just something not quite aligned, that's why. So we may give another shot to the sacred boundaries in a few days, but that's not what's wanting to come through today. What's wanting to come through is an exploration of people pleasing. And I call this doormat syndrome in my work. People pleasing, I'm sure it's been described in other ways. It's not coming to me at the moment. So where does this come from? Well, primarily it's one of the ways that the wound of unworthiness manifests is when we are young. If we have caregivers, parents or teachers or authority figures in our lives who can't be present and attuned to our needs as children, we can get blamed for being selfish, for taking up all the attention in the room, for being too much. We can get guilted and shamed for having wants, needs, and desires. And so there can be a learned response that as little children, it's better for us if we take care of the big people around us. Not that we have the resources or the capability to do so, but it becomes a conditioned response that it's not safe for us to have our own wants, needs, and desires. And so we turn our attention to trying to support our parents. So we become parentified children. And that pattern gets carried forward into our teens, our 20s, our adulthood. And it looks like people pleasing. When I think of this pattern, I think of a pretzel. And it's, unless you're a contortionist, which, not many of us are. If you are, you're probably on the Cirque du Soleil circuit. If you're an actual contortionist physically, that's very different than people pleasing. But energetically and metaphorically and symbolically, when we carry the imprint of people pleasing or being a doormat, we may have wants and needs, but we stuff them way down. We tend to other people first, and then we can become really bitter and resentful, frustrated even. So what do we do about it? Well, first we identify that we have the pattern. And I'm sure if you're watching this and you resonate with people pleasing, you're already going, oh, yeah, I resonate with that. I identify with that. So having an awareness about it is great, but what do you do with that? do you do with that, especially if you have worked to try to shift the pattern and notice that you really struggle with an internal conflict that tells you you're bad or wrong, or you're selfish, that you should be ashamed of yourself? What do you do with that? Well, unfortunately, we're not working together in a one-on-one container, so I can't customize this approach for you, but I can offer you a resources and tools to support you. So if you have a journal, I'm going to invite you to pause this video, grab your journal, pen and paper, pen or pencil and paper, notebook. Come back to this video and write down the following journal prompts. Not something you have to do right in this moment. Give yourself, 15 to 30 minutes at some point today or in the next few days to sit with these questions and just allow the answers to organically arise. So the first question is, what were the expectations in my childhood around taking care of others' needs instead of my own, instead of having my own needs taken care of? What were the consequences if I had needs? What was the punishment? And the punishment may have been very seemingly innocuous, such as being shamed or guilted or being ignored, maybe even being reprimanded. I can't tell you how many times I'm out shopping at the grocery store and I see parents who are frazzled. And I'm not here to bash parents. People are overextended, and they also, they're repeating patterns that they experienced in their own childhood that haven't been resolved. So they just perpetuate them and probably feel guilty and bad about it. Maybe not, I don't know. But I can't tell you how many times I see parents with kids, yelling at them or shaming them or telling them to be quiet or stop being selfish, rather than just attuning to the fact that a child is trying to communicate their needs, which is what happened when you were a child. Children, they're needy. They have little nervous systems that can't regulate by themselves. They're dependent on the adults around them. So if you carry this, I'm going to invite you to just really sit with your, memories of what was it like for you as a child. And you may not remember consciously, but you may have a visceral response coming up. Pay attention to that. Listen to it. Be present with it. Allow these parts to begin speaking to you so that this wound can be witnessed, validated, acknowledged, held with such tenderness and compassion. The more you can be present with this and hold space for it, it'll start to dissipate. Another question to consider is, what were the rules in your household growing up about having needs? Were you expected to ignore them? Pretend like they weren't there? Once you are sitting with this for a little while, imagine connecting with your younger self, the one who had needs. Connect with this younger part of you. Perhaps imagine bringing them out of your body wherever they live, sitting them on your lap and just holding them. letting them know that you are them all grown up, that you're here, that you're present, that you're listening, you're never going away. Acknowledge that they have needs and invite you to tell them what needs they have that haven't yet been met, what needs they have current time, because they are still living in your present, in your nervous system in the present moment, but this part is stuck in the past. What needs do they have that haven't yet been acknowledged? It may be as simple as just, I just need a hug. I need to feel safe. I need to know that I can rely on someone. I need to know that you'll take care of me. I need to know that you will feed me when I'm hungry. That, if I'm sitting and I'm uncomfortable, that you'll let me get up and move around. That I need to go to bed when I'm tired. Then I need to say no when I really want to say no, and yes when I want to say yes. Then I need to embody my muchness. What would it be like if you could fully embody and own yourself, own your capital S self, your needs, wants, desires, embody all that you are, unapologetic. And once you have these needs identified, I'm going to invite you to grab your Rose Absolute essential oil and place it 1 drop on CV17 on the sternum, just that little dip, and the other drop on the third eye. Close your eyes. Be present. And allow Rose Absolute to start rehydrating the parts of yourself that perhaps have become dehydrated or withered, atrophied around having needs. Allowing Rose to travel to the parts of you who actually have needs. Making it safe for these needs to be known, to be articulated, advocated for. And just sitting in the presence of yourself, restoring you to you. When you feel complete with the Rose Absolute, you can bring your hands up to your face and just enjoy the delicious scent, luscious scent. You are worthy of having needs. You're worthy of filling your own cup first. Before we end today, I'm going to share a little story. In 2015, I went to Las Vegas to take a training in spiritual communication with what was then called Lightworker. They're now called a Spavo. And it was a husband and wife team, Barbara and Steve Rother, and Barbara has since passed away. And I think, they're now called a Spavo. And I remember Barbara sharing a story about feeling frazzled. She was running in the household, taking care of her 3 boys at the time and her husband, and traveling with Steve for work. And she mentioned feeling just absolutely exhausted. And somebody mentioned to her, I think it was a therapist, it has been many, many, many years ago, so I may be getting the story wrong, but somebody mentioned to her that she needed to prioritize her own wants, needs, and desires above her household, above her boys, above her husband. And she said, oh, no, 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 I can't do that. And so she kept going along and getting more and more frustrated and more exhausted. And I think the friend again said, you need to prioritize yourself. And so she decided to do that, expecting that the world was going to fall apart. The sky would fall in, the household would, just disintegrate. Everything would be amuck. And, at first she got some resistance. She got some pushback from all of the other people she had been supporting throughout this time of building up to this decision, this choice, this fork in the road. But she noticed that as she started prioritizing herself, she started receiving support from those around her, support and encouragement. She noticed that she was happier. She was sleeping better. She felt better. And so the gift or the lesson in the story is that when you prioritize yourself first, even if it seems scary because you have been conditioned not to do so, when you begin prioritizing your own wants, needs, and desires, well, first, step 1 is acknowledging that you have them. Step 2 is honoring and validating them. And step 3 is standing in the truth of them and speaking them and advocating for them. When that begins to happen and you fill your own cup first, the cup that used to be empty, you can't pour from an empty cup. You try, but when your cup begins to fill and fill and fill by you taking care of yourself first, you become so full and effervescent, and your cup flows over. You have so much more to give. I actually wrote a blog about this years ago. I'll put this in the description below. I'm curious what this brings up for you. What questions, what comments, what insights, what perhaps resistance. Please share in the comments below. It may be useful for other people going through this journey to find that they're not alone in what they're experiencing. Thank you again for being here. It's been such an honor. Today's only day 23 and we have 7 days to go, but it is such an honor to be here with you. Thank you so much for being at the leading edge of co-creation, the leading edge of your soul's evolution, transformation. Every person who does their own inner work. Oh, we have a woodpecker here visiting. Just want to share. Woodpecker in some animal symbology means knocking on the doors of opportunity. So I'm just going to take that to be a sign that the universe is saying, when you prioritize your own self, doors of opportunity open that you couldn't see before. So going back to what I was saying, when you prioritize your own growth, your own healing, your own transformation, that is the most loving thing you can do for all that is, all of creation. Because as you evolve, as you elevate, as you heal, you become like a beacon of light, and it creates a ripple effect throughout all time, space, dimension, and reality, making it easier for others to elevate as well. The goodness that you experience overflows exponentially. So thank you so much for being here. Please like, subscribe, and share if you like the content that I'm posting in this 30-day journey. And until tomorrow, sending you so much love.